What's going on? Reality After Show. We are back to talk Survivor Season 48. I'm Lauren, as always, joined by Adrian, Melissa, and Connor. How is everyone today?
Great.
Fantastic.
Doing most excellent and bodacious. I'm excited to talk about the season. Let's get it going.
I'm ready to roll and dive right in because I'll be honest, I was a little bit low at the beginning of this season. I wasn't sure if I was feeling it. And now I'm truly feeling it after this last episode. I think they're doing really well with character development. We're getting to know these people and what their gameplay style is going to be throughout the season. How are y'all feeling about it?
You know, I was in it from the beginning. Like, when you texted me and you said that you weren't into this season, I was like, Lauren, I think you're going crazy. I think that these people are delivering from day one. I don't know what you were smoking at that point, but I'm glad you finally come around.
I gotta agree with Adrian. I was completely into it from front, and this is the first one since 40 that I've been into from the first episode. So I gotta agree with that one because literally I have not been a fan from 41 through 47. So,
ooh, shots fired. How about you, Connor?
For me, I think this has actually been my favorite pre-merge of the whole of the new era so far. There's no one that's a specific character that I'm massively rooting for. Like in previous seasons, there's been like a huge character like a Q or like a Jam Jam that at this point I've been really, really invested in. Mm-hmm. But all of the characters, I think, are huge personalities, and I'm invested in all of them equally, and I'm really enjoying the season so far.
Yeah, I feel like I know everybody that's on the island right now. Especially after this past episode. If you're tuning into this, we just finished the merge episode, so everybody just got their blue buffs.
No. That was not the merge episode. It was never.
They merged at the end of the episode.
I understand, but just can we lose how they structure this, because it is the merge. They are all voting together as a group and getting rid of one singular person. There are no tribes. You are merged together. I hate the earning the merge thing.
I agree with you, but that's what they did this episode. They all voted, and there was only one person immune. That's a merge.
Yeah, I will say I do like that development that they actually did for this season, that they actually made everybody vulnerable except for one person that had the immunity. I love that it wasn't a half a tribe that was safe. So kudos to that one.
Yeah, I much preferred this to what we've been having in the past. And we finally got rid of that massive boulder that they've been using in every single mergatory challenge.
Well, we know that Jeff has a thing with big balls, so.
He does. Almost as much as JLP.
Oh.
But yeah, no, I mean, like the Earn the Merge, it was always a point of contention in the fan base, and a lot of people were not on board with it, including myself. I found it to be just much ado about nothing. I'm glad that they're finally starting to come around on it. I think Jeff's philosophies on the show is starting to go a little bit more old school with some of his game theory and whatnot, which I'm super excited to see. Some of these more abstract concepts are starting to get shuffled out. So thank you for whoever's in Jeff's ear and telling him to do that.
So this is always a big issue that we see back and forth with people having various opinions on this. Losing your vote. How do y'all feel about that being incorporated in this new era, and how it has really, in my personal opinion, tanked some of these people's games for mostly them not doing it themselves? It's kind of just the dynamic that has been shifted into this new era.
I don't mind the losing. Sorry. No, I don't mind losing your vote too much, depending on what the challenge is on the journey. So I hated the fact that we had the dice in that one challenge. I didn't like the fact that it was left up to fate. I think if they're going to lose their vote, then they should have a part in that, and that should be on them rather than letting the gods decide.
I 100% agree with that. That's exactly what I was going to chime in and say. Like, I don't mind with the mechanic of the losing of the vote, provided that the player has agency into either A, choosing whether or not they play the game. If it's a random outcome, then they should be able to choose whether or not they participate. If it is not a random outcome and it is a skill check, then that I don't have a problem being mandatory, because that's a skill check, and their abilities and how they perform will directly impact whether or not they lose that vote or get an advantage or what have you. I just hate it when it's random and they don't have a choice.
Yeah. There should always be a consequence to the actions that they take. It shouldn't be it should be either you're going to take the easy road or the hard road. And if you can't come up with that consequence, then it's not going to be worth it. So,
yeah, player agency. It all boils down to player agency. The game should not be happening to them. They should be happening to the game, and then people should be reacting to what's going on. That's just good game design.
I don't mind. Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead, Melissa.
I would say I don't like how much it actually is utilized. Like there was so Justin, Bianca, Thomas, like there was 4 or 5 people at one point that had like no vote. Mm-hmm. I don't like how much they used it. It was like that was way too much.
Yeah. It is. I would be fine, I think, if it was just maybe one person every once in a while, but when you see multiple people and how much it does truly impact the votes, and this is what I have an issue with the small tribes. If someone doesn't have a vote when, say, we just had 13 people voting at tribal council, that's not a huge factor. But when you have the small 4 people, 5 people going, those people need a vote. The whole concept of the show is eliminating people by voting them out. And I think that's my biggest issue with it impacting the game too much to where they're not getting a say. What are you supposed to do when there's 4 of you and someone doesn't have a vote? Then it's really coming down to you're the easy option pretty much to go at that point.
I'm going to push back on that. I think it's provided that each player made a conscious decision to put themselves in a position where they could lose a vote. I don't care if we have a 6-person tribal council. Well, only one person has a vote. Provided that those 5 other players made that decision and took that risk.
I think it would be
they knew what the consequences were.
I reckon it would be a lot better if it was like the previous seasons and they got to choose whether or not they did the journey challenge. Mm-hmm. I think that's thrown a massive spanner in the works. The fact that they can't decide whether or not they're going to participate in the chance to lose their vote.
Spanner.
Yes. I personally always want to know what's going to happen if you have a still a vote and there's somebody that lost a vote and they try to steal that person's lost vote. Does it not get get canceled out?
We haven't seen that happen before. It would be very interesting to see that.
I've always wondered that.
I would say it shouldn't, because they didn't have a vote and you chose incorrectly who you wanted to steal from. It's kind of when they had that advantage, knowledge is power. If you picked the wrong person and they didn't have anything, tough shit, you don't get anything.
I mean, how surprising would that be if they sat there and was like, I'm stealing this person's vote, and then they get there and like, sorry, you still only have 1 vote and you wasted your advantage. That'd be hysterical.
Yeah, I'm totally down with stuff like that. Like I don't mind the advantages as much as most other the fan base, provided that the players are making conscious decisions for that. Yes, yeah. That's always my caveat. It has to have player agency involved in it. But yeah, no, it's just like we don't know how some of these things interact with each other. And the players have some game theory about that, and I'd like to see how that plays out. IMO.
Well, let's dive into some of the players that we have on this cast, because I am really enjoying it. And as Connor, you said earlier, there's not someone where I'm saying, oh my goodness, I want this person to win. There are many people where I'm enjoying their storyline that they're getting thus far. And then there's also a couple of people where I go, you can get voted out. I'm okay with you going. You've had your time. So, Melissa, I'll start with you. What are you thinking on this cast?
I'm enjoying the cast. I think that they're a great dynamic. This is actually, so like what they're doing right now with the whole Challenge Beast Alliance, I love that. But you know that about me. I've always been that person that's like, let them play the game. We don't need just these puzzle people at the end. And I'm a huge puzzle person, so I love puzzles. But when it's just completely comes down to, we're going to make the people that are afraid, that are winning challenges and all that other stuff, that they're going to be afraid to actually win it. I'm not that fan of it. But as far as the character development, I've actually thought that they've given ample time to everybody. Well, with the exception of Chrissy, I'm still wondering about
Mhm.
Chrissy. I mean,
Chrissy's
it's one of those where it's
favorite.
like, who is she and what is she doing? So, in my opinion, I think that she's going to go far because they're like, we have enough time to tell her story later on. So I think that she's going to be like, I don't think she's going to win, but I think she's going to be like the third runner up because of the fact that they have not shown her story. And this is just from coming from the last previous seasons. We didn't see a lot about Rachel. We only seen a lot about Jam Jam because of the fact that they kept on losing. I mean, there was not a lot of other storylines of the people that made it far early in the season. So I love the actual genuineness that's been out there. I love the way that people are actually interacting with each other. So I watched all the pre-interviews when they came out, and I absolutely loved Joe from the beginning, and just from his pre-interview, because in his pre-interview, he talked exactly how he's talking on the island. He was like, I want to be genuine. I want to be loyal to somebody. I want to be this person. I don't want to sit there and play a manipulative game. I don't want to do all this stuff. And I absolutely love that about him. And the fact that he's actually still being that person is just, I love that.
Connor,
Yeah,
what do you think?
I've got to argue back on the Chrissy point. I think she's incredible. I feel like they've gone back in time, pulled someone from like the old era of Survivor and brought her in. She's like a Sandy Bergen type. She's incredible. That scene where she was talking about her deep belly button, it was giving me Peter Hargy talking about holes, and I was so here for it. I was so excited.
That's some classic throwback there. That's
Major
good stuff.
throwback.
He's dropping Sandy Bergen and Peter Harkey right out of the gate. I like you.
No, I'm a big fan of her. She's obviously not had a massive role on the season, but I'm like I said earlier, I'm loving the whole cast. There are a couple of people that I'm not massively invested in, but there's no one that I actively dislike. I've got to say that I think that this season Jeff has perfectly found what he's been looking for this whole new era, with the personal stories and the journey and the growth from what they've learned on the island. I feel like this is what he's been looking for, and they finally cracked it.
It definitely feels a little bit more old school with some of the decisions that they're making. Can I, and this is for me, and it may be for some of our listeners, I don't know, but I'm glad to see a little bit more masculinity on the island that's not portrayed as toxic. Yep. Like I am a massive Joe fan right now. I can't say enough. I have a son. That it means to see somebody who is portrayed that way on television, and it's not meant in a negative way. Yeah. That's something that has been sorely lacking on Survivor for a very long period of time, and I think it resonates with a huge base of people that just really haven't been spoken to by by it and why. I don't know, that sentence kind of got away from me, but that hasn't been spoken to from Survivor for a really long time. David, great casting decision as well, because he's not ingrained into the community. He doesn't know the game as well. But I'm just really happy to see a little bit more masculinity than what we've seen in the past as being portrayed in a positive light.
Absolutely. And it's so interesting too, Melissa. You watched the videos before the season happened, their preseason coverage. I did not. And so Adrian and I did a draft, and I'll put it out there, dead wrong about the Joe characters and all of that. We completely missed the ball on all of that. We thought they were going to just be these meatheads that want to take control. And that's why I don't watch the preseason coverage, because I want to go in with, I'm picking my draft team based on first impressions, what I see in the photo, what I see reading their bio. And that's why I do enjoy the show Survivor so much, because you can think one way about somebody going into it, and they're a completely different person once you start seeing the season progress. And I want to add another person that we haven't talked about, Star. I am loving Star after these past couple episodes. I really think she's coming to light, and we're seeing the full circle of who she is. You see the genuine moment with her and Cedric. You just see her excitement of, you know what? I want peace today, but it's war tomorrow. We're seeing so many different elements of her game, and I really think she's a player to watch out for potentially. I think she's going to have the charm moving forward to do quite well for herself.
So just to go on Star, I will say that I am shocked just from her preseason interview, once again, because I'm the bias on it. So many people did not like her on Ponderosa. When they were all sitting around and silent, they did not like her. They were like very much, I guess there was a lot of times that, because you're supposed to be silent on Ponderosa, and she could not. She was like constantly talking. They were like, if she can't even follow the rules here, how are we going to be able to work with her out there? So the fact that she's made it this far and she's actually making connections, I'm absolutely amazed. So her character has actually developed way different than her interview was. So
yeah, I mean, like she's very loud when she wants to be. Obviously, I mean, I can identify with that. But like Star is just rising in stock right now. At the beginning of the season, she seemed like a little bit of a casting dud through like episodes 1 and a little bit of 2. But over the past, especially on this past episode, on episode 6, like Star has really come into their own and is really their story arc is starting to shine. So I'm on board with it. I love it. I want more of it.
can I say I am so happy that she did not let Charity influence her and try to take away back the idol from Eva? She was like, nope, not doing it. I love that about her. I absolutely was like, good for you. Stand your ground and say, no, I've already done it. I'm not going to, mess up that because you're telling me I should. So.
And wouldn't have been a good gameplay move for her anyway.
No, it really
Why would you want that target to shift? Because it's on Eva right now because she is the idol. Why take it back and then have it put on you?
Mm-hmm.
She's already got the heat. Let her keep it.
Yeah. And in a season with so much talk about honor and stuff, I think Star is really showing the most so far in her time there.
Mm-hmm.
I was a bit worried about Star at the start because I thought she was just getting situational content more than anything else. It was all about the idol, which we sort of had to see rather than anything else. But obviously the last episode was incredible for Star, as we've been talking about. But what I thought was really interesting about it was looking at how Star was talking to Cedric after how he felt about the challenge compared to a couple of episodes ago with the one with the poles and the ball that he also messed up. And when he went back to the Vula tribe then and was upset about that, the difference in how people responded to it, Star shut it down straight away and did the "we're not doing this" act. And when he was talking to the original Vula members, they were just crying with him and almost encouraged it. And I thought it was just such an interesting dichotomy.
Absolutely. Star is it's the whole story arc with her is phenomenal. But yeah, we talked about Chrissy, we talked about Star. I guess moving on from that, what are we thinking about Mitch right now?
I think his character is going to come alive next week. I think he's been the nice guy. Everybody loves him. I think he's been like, oh, I'm friends with everybody. But now that they voted off Charity, and I think he was not happy with that. That was his number one. I think he's going to come out as a different kind of, I'm not saying he's going to turn mean, but I think he's going to be a little bit more manipulative and he's going to be a little bit pissed off. And it's going to come out now. I am so here for it. I'm like, I can't wait to see his other side. So
I don't know if Mitch can get pissed off.
I think he can.
I think so. I
think he
can.
can.
He's such a pure-hearted soul.
It doesn't matter.
Those are not the ones you want to piss off. When you piss those people off, that's
the silent assassin.
Mitch, don't do it.
Honestly, I'm here for that if that's the case, because you could tell at the end of that tribal, Mitch was pissed. And you see people get a kick in the butt when they lose their number one person in the game. They go, game is on. And Mitch is a gamer. Mitch is there to play. Don't get it twisted. Mitch is there for the $1 million. So I think it is beneficial sometimes for people to lose a very close ally early on in the game, because then it gives them time to maneuver and figure out other ideas and plans, because now Mitch is disconnected. Mitch is a number that can get pulled in for a specific vote. So I think he is sitting in an excellent spot right now.
Yeah.
I gotta agree. 100%.
I completely agree with that.
I don't know. I'm worried about Mitch going forward right now, actually. Like with the way that the lines are being drawn right now, it's still a little hazy. Like if we look at the way the votes went down last night, the people that voted for Say were Charity, obviously, Shaheen, Mitch, Ava and David. So like even that like power alliance that they were talking about of like keeping the strong people together, they didn't even vote together as a block. So are they
I
even?
think they split it though. I think that they were splitting it just in case, because they didn't want Ava to go, and they were worried about Ava.
You think?
I have a hard time
Okay.
believing that Joe and Ava did not vote together.
Right? It doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Like I need to see the beginning of next episode so they can discuss and tell us why it was like that.
The aftermath. But
Yeah.
can I just say one thing about that? I'm sorry if you are splitting. I am not voting for Say. I am voting for the other person, and I will push to vote for Charity because you do not want to put Say's name down because she will hunt you down, and she is very intense about it. She has no issue. She will say, "Who'd you vote for?" And in that case, it would be really hard, I believe, to lie directly to her face because she's not playing around when she knows that her name has been written down. So in that moment, I was said, you know what? I will gladly vote for Charity. If some other people want to dump on Say, that's fine. But if Say's staying, then I do not want to be the one voting in that direction.
Mm-hmm.
I will say I don't understand why they got rid of Charity. I mean, I understand, and it was a smart move and everything like that. But personally, if I was there, I would have been advocating to get Say off at that point because I would not want her on the jury.
No, you don't want her on the
I
jury.
would be like, I need her off now, and we could vote Charity next time because I do not want her sitting and influencing everybody that's coming into the jury. And she's going to be the first one they talk to. She's going to be the one that's going to lead so I would be like, I don't want her to be the first one on the jury. I just don't. I would have been fighting for that like no tomorrow.
Do you think it was a bit of trying to get out one of the SIVA members?
Yeah, 100%. Because they didn't want the 6. They didn't want that strong 6, which apparently they didn't even have. I mean, if they would have actually sat there and thought about it, David's not going to be hard with them. They're not. So if they would have actually logically started thinking about it, they'd be like, they don't have 6. They just think they have 6.
Mm-hmm.
So me personally, like I said, I would have been pushing just to not have her on the jury.
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree with you, and I understand the logic as to getting out at least one of the SIVA members at this juncture, because if they were being played, if everyone was being played, it would be a 6-6 split at the next tribal, and then it's like dead meat. Then we're going to see 45 all over again. So hopefully we don't see a begonging coming out of this because people are playing a little bit more, close-chested.
Okay.
Yeah. But having said that, God, why didn't you vote Say out?
Connor, what are your thoughts?
I would have voted Say out at this point. I think Say's had enough content. I've seen enough of Say at this point. I'm happy to get some Charity for one more episode. But I did understand, having watched the exit interview, where people were coming from with Charity coming across as like a little bit fake in a way.
Yeah.
Not so much in like her as a person, but I felt like some of her talk about strategy and stuff, she'd add some over-the-top laughs and some little rubs of the arm to look like she was with them. At least with Say, I feel like you know exactly where you are with Say. I think Say's going to tell you what she's thinking. You're going to know who she's probably going to vote for. And I think in their minds that Say's not going to be that much of a threat in the long term. Charity could get some traction and become a bigger player, but I think they're always going to be worried about Say, and she's always going to have a target on her back.
Do you think anybody knew that Say voted for Cedric? I mean, she was a lone wolf on that, so...
What is that?
Say was hammocking or laying down. You saw that. Say said, I'm going to stay out of this one. And I think she just wanted to put the payback vote down on Cedric. And I don't think anyone was going to change Say's mind. But what I also will add regarding Charity versus Say. So for me, it has been known that Say is able to find items, snag that advantage, had the idol. So that would concern me more versus Charity. Charity, you knew, was really only with Mitch. What power did Charity really have? You can easily keep that in the game, but their whole point was breaking up that 6, but it never was a 6 to begin with. I think the tribes are so blended from the OGs because of the swap. If a swap never took place, different story. But because the season did have a swap, I think that impacts it majorly.
I agree.
Yeah, no, it muddies the waters for sure. But yeah, Charity, I mean, they could have voted for any SIVA member. You just painted a bigger target on yourself. That's really what it all boils down to. God, I wish they voted out Say, but hey, here we are. You know, we got another week of Say. And I'm sure you're a very nice person in real life.
You have to admit,
but you are incorrigible on the show right now.
She's amazing TV, no matter what. She's the person that everybody's loving to hate right now.
Mhm.
So she's doing her job. I mean, she's probably talked about more than anybody else besides Joe and Ava. She's like probably the third most talked about person at this point because everybody.
Definitely.
She's the villain of the season that nobody expected to have.
Yeah.
I want her on the jury, to be honest, if you want my true opinion, because that one, no, from entertainment.
I would not want her on my jury.
oh gosh, no. As a viewer, I want her on the jury because that final tribal council will be epic. You know that Say will be the spokesperson. You absolutely know it's going to happen. And Say will grill everybody and you're going to get entertainment from it. So Say, I hope you make the jury. I don't want you at the end.
She's making the jury.
Yeah, no, I just want you on the jury. I don't want you at the end because I think you provide me more entertainment by being in that jury seat, not at the final tribal.
I agree with that statement, but if we do get Say on the jury, which it looks like we're going to get, I want the old jury format back.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I want her to be able to grandstand.
Yeah.
And I want her to blast them individually and say whatever the hell she wants to each and every one of those final three people.
I want Say on the jury and I want Cedric at final tribal.
Yes, please.
Cedric and Mary?
Incredible.
Oh God, that's TV gold.
It's, but she loves Mary. Mary and her are so tight now after their morning of being friends.
I love I love every single one of Mary's confessionals since the beginning because she literally contradicts every single thing that has been said about her. I absolutely am loving that. Every time somebody sits there and says, "Oh, I have her completely fooled," she comes back, "Nobody has me fooled." It's amazing.
Oh no, she's phenomenal. I'm super glad she's on my draft team. So and she was my first draft pick.
Okay, my draft team's still fine. Don't even come at me with that. Okay, you know what?
I just love my draft team. I don't think any of them are going to win, but I love my team. So,
well, I still have Eva and David left, so I feel I have a shot here. Okay, I'm not out of it. If you have Say, you're probably out of it.
No, I don't have Say. No, I had Mary, Joe, and Mitch. So.
Perfect team. Yeah, it's a great. You have an awesome team. Let's talk about Cedric for a second because this man has voted for so many people and yet continues to just get away with it, and it's totally fine. It's just, oh, it's Cedric. If I'm on Survivor, imagine getting on the show and he is on your tribe. How upset would you be knowing that he can't make up his mind and he skates by and he's getting through, and it's fun to watch as a viewer, but it's just insane.
Mm-hmm. He's like a kid who got a BB gun and he's going to shoot his eye out every time he picks it up. that pen and parchment is his BB gun. Every time he picks up that pen and parchment, he shoots himself on the fucking foot.
Well,
it's wild.
The one episode where he voted for every single person on his tribe was just just amazing.
It's a classic kid trying to make everybody happy. He wants to make everybody happy, and he can't do it. Not in this game.
Yeah. No, has he been on the right side by the end of it? Every tribal
every single time. Every vote he has been on the right side.
That's wild.
I mean, he also was the only vote for one of the votes, but he was on the right side for every single one.
That's crazy.
Yeah, no, he burned every bridge getting there, but yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No chance Cedric wins, correct? We're all on the same page with that? No chance?
Sure.
I'm not going to say not a chance because I think that he's one of the ones that people are like, for some reason, people are going to him and trusting him and telling him things. And I don't know if it's the emotional side or if it's what it is, but I mean, people are seeming to be connected to him and trusting him.
Mm-hmm.
Why?
I don't know if they could reward him with a win by the end. I don't know if they could look at him and say that he's the person who strategically dominated the season. It seems all very erratic, And even though he has been on the right side, it seems to just be completely emotional so far.
Yeah.
The one I will give him is the Bianca one, because really that's just something. That's just something.
Let's talk about the Bianca vote. What the fuck?
Well, but you have to look at it from her perspective. He is saying that Justin didn't say that he lost his vote. So in theory, she's thinking, okay, let me come clean. But in that instance, you are knowing just on how the format of the new era goes. Do what you need to do that night and say sorry tomorrow at that point, because you just have to get through that vote and let the vote happen that the way the vote was going to go. And who cares if Cedric's mad at you? You're probably going to get back with your old people that you were closely working with beforehand. So if you have one person mad at you, you still had people that were going to vote in your direction, and you can just say, listen, I lost my vote. I didn't know how it was going to go down, but I wanted to be able to still be in this game. Work with Chrissy and Mitch the next day or whatever. You know what I mean? And you're still getting rid of a wild card and say at that point.
Are we thoroughly convinced that Say would have gone home?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
So well, it would have been a push, right? Because would have been a 2-2 vote with no vote coming from Bianca, right?
But Cedric's already voted for her before. Why not vote for it? I think it's easy at that point.
And that's what Bianca was
pushing. Yeah, but it's Cedric.
That's why she went and told Cedric, I have no vote. She was like, I'm telling you to vote for Say because I don't have a vote. So it's going to go 2-2. And then if you guys keep it at 2-2, we're going to have to go to Rocks. And that's going to put us in danger. So she was like, let me tell you right now, I'm not changing their mind. I'm trying to change yours. So that's what.
But it's Cedric.
But she, I mean,
Cedric would have like blew up his whole game to protect Say like
I'm
3 times.
I'm with Lauren 100% on that. Where there had to have been discussions that we did not see. That there was something that was told to Bianca that sat there and said he ended up voting Justin out because Justin did not tell him he lost his vote. And she was like, I need to come clean and then tell him because I don't want him to all of a sudden implode on me if we come back. So I think that's where her mindset was. It's just unfortunately it's Cedric. So
well, it's like, who do you think would have flinched first? Do you think that Mitch would have flinched on Chrissy?
No.
At the tribal?
No, absolutely not.
I'm not thoroughly convinced on that. I think Cedric could have very well dug in to protect Say because he's a nutter butter.
I'm also
Connor, what do you think? Yeah, I was just gonna say, go for it, buddy.
I'm also not completely convinced that Cedric voted for Justin because he didn't tell him that he didn't have a vote. I think he always knew that he wanted to protect Say, but was voting against Say originally because that's what he said he was going to do. And then when he had this opportunity given to him, he was just scrambling for a reason to keep Say around. And I think that's what he landed on. And I think that was mainly why. I also think Say had a lot to do with why she stayed in that position. She was fighting so hard and Justin wasn't. I reckon putting the label of the no vote thing on was just something that he could say to appease Justin.
Well, let's also remember, we only seen a very edited portion of that tribal. According to everything, that tribal lasted 3.5 hours.
Fair enough.
So Justin sat there and came out and sat there and said, no, I was fighting. He's like, but for some reason they edited it to make it look like I wasn't. And he was like, but we were there for over 3.5 hours. He was like, and it finally came down to that. And he was like, it was just a ridiculous one. Me personally, for that vote, I would have loved, like 100%. I would have been like jumping up and down. If Mary would have been like, no, I'm not getting along with her. You're going to have to vote her out. I don't want her here. I would have loved that if Mary would have just said that. And she'd been like, nope, I'm going to stay fighting with her. So if you want your peace, get rid of her. Let's keep Justin.
Yeah, I think Mary definitely should have said something.
Yep.
She's allowed to.
Yep.
She just can't vote.
She just can't vote. But yeah, absolutely. You're allowed to say your piece because I think where you're coming from with Justin, I believe they probably didn't show it because it builds Say's storyline even more on the season because she's obviously already a big character at that point already. So it's just going to progress it even more. You want to see that little tidbit for us as the viewers to know at least, because then people are writing, Justin didn't do anything to stay. He wasn't fighting at all. He just wanted to go home, and that sucks for a player, obviously, when you know you did, but it's just not an edit.
Yeah.
All right, let's dive into some duos. I really am interested in some of these dynamic duos that we have going, but I want to talk about this one first, being Kyle and Camilla, because right now they're doing very well at hiding how close that they truly are, which is going to be dangerous, in my opinion, moving forward in this game. And I almost kind of want to see a segment where they don't even vote on the same side. They know what the vote is going to be, but they vote on opposite sides just to make people think, okay, they're not fully together, and wait until the numbers dwindle even more and then start to come together even more.
I think that has a shelf life. Kyle and Camilla have a shelf life. There's only gonna be so much long because there's too much lying and manipulation there. And it's gonna come to head, and it's gonna become okay, well, I need to get rid of him because I'm playing the same exact game. We have the same exact story, and one of them are gonna come to it. Personally, I mean, if things went the way Melissa wants them to go, I wish Mr. would take off his shirt and be like, hey, I'm a challenge beast too. Let's get rid of Kyle and keep me in the challenge beast alliance. Because I just think that Kyle and Camilla, I think that they are playing the best game right now out of everybody that's there. But it's a matter of time before it comes to head, and it's going to be one of the other. They're going to turn on each other badly.
So, are they going to turn it on each other badly, or is I don't know, like they're talking about their nationalities and whatnot being their common bonding point. I feel like the Alpha, can we call it the Alpha Alliance? I guess the physical players alliance doesn't include Camilla in it. So at some point they're going to turn their crosshairs over towards Camilla, and they're going to tell Kyle about that. And how is Kyle going to react when that happens? Is he going to get protectionist over her? And I think that's when we're going to see sparks fly.
Yeah.
I completely agree with that. I think that Alpha Alliance is this season's Journey 6. Mm-hmm. I reckon they're talking about how locked in they are. They're all going to make it to the end. And as soon as one of them mentions targeting another one, I reckon that's the end for them. I reckon that the second that Kyle hears Camilla's name, that's when they flip. And I reckon that'll then become the Power Alliance going toward the end. But I was so shocked to hear that Camilla wasn't even mentioned as part of the alliance, because the episode prior to that felt like it was bigging up them becoming close with Shaheen and Joe so much. We had that scene where they were talking about the Jim Crow laws, one of many really heartfelt scenes in the season. And it felt like that was an important moment and a way that was going to change the trajectory of the season. But we seem to have had nothing from that since.
But then,
I feel like that's going to be the governing alliance. But
then Joe and David bonded over chocolate milk, and how could that superseded? It was that was it.
That's a lot of milk.
Yeah, a gallon a day.
It is.
There's no way that's a lot of milk.
Well, a lot of people drink chocolate milk after they work out. Not a whole gallon of it, but they do consume it. And think about it. Joe definitely is lifting some heavy weights, all right? So he might need a ton of the chocolate milk. It's just the way it is. Now, white milk, I'm not drinking all that white milk. The chocolate milk, fine, but the white milk, nah, I'm all right.
Especially whole milk. That's just...
Yeah.
Oof.
That's brutal. No shot there.
There's definitely better ways to get protein in your body.
Of course.
A gallon of milk a day.
They need to do a milk chugging segment. I would love to just see how quickly they're able to consume the whole gallon.
Oh, you can't drink a gallon of milk in 1 hour. You'll throw up.
No, that's the point.
Yeah. Your stomach's not big enough to hold it all, and you can't digest it fast enough.
Did you not watch that whole milk commercial when he won the reward, and they just kept on going to him drinking milk? It was
are we back on the Got Milk commercials from the 90s?
Is
that where we're at now? Yeah, is that where we're at now?
I mean,
is milk back?
It
Who
could
want that in the reward? I mean, it was like watching one of those commercials again. They kept on just cutting to him drinking milk and just happy, and it was like, okay.
Some investor in CBS wanted milk featured on this show. Some dairy farmer somewhere was like, "We need more milk on the show."
It's the
Get
new
it, Johnson.
Applebee's.
It's the new Applebee's.
It's the new Applebee's. That's what it comes down
Milk.
to. It really is. You had Karishma with the Applebee's, and then you had Liz. Liz's was way more iconic. Now hear me out. Is Jeff going to bring in the chocolate milk at some point, and are we going to see a meltdown over milk? That is the real question.
Step down for milk.
Between Joe and David, who's gonna get the milk?
I like strawberry milk more.
Strawberry milk's the best milk.
Yeah.
Wow.
Thank you, Connor.
All good.
Yeah.
I blame
never had strawberry
Survivor
milk?
for this.
You never had strawberry milk?
Who, me?
Yeah.
No.
It's incredible.
It's the same people trying to put me on strawberry ice cream. It's just not it.
Oh, you don't like strawberry ice cream? Get out of here.
It's chocolate chip cookie dough, duh.
I liked you before.
I know. I change people's minds on the daily. Don't worry, my buddy.
This is terrible. That's earth-shattering.
Fine, shift it off of this. Let's go back to the duos because we have to talk about Eva and Joe here.
Oh, melt my
Who wants to
heart.
start? Anyone can go.
Ah, I had emotions. Ah,
Anybody on that tribe is absolute moronic if they let either one of them get to the finals.
Yeah.
That's my whole entire thing. I am a huge Joe fan. He's almost right underneath my Tony. I mean, and that's saying something for me. So, but if anybody lets either one of those get to the final three, they're idiots.
mm-hmm. I want to see the story arc of like Eva getting voted out, and I want to see how Joe reacts. That's what I really want to see. Not because I want Eva to get voted out or anything like that, because I think she's a wonderful person, but I want to see Joe's reaction to that and how he would play the game beyond that.
I wouldn't be surprised if we're heading toward David voting out Joe after having the setup between Eva and David's relationship and him seeing those two getting really close and trying to cut that off before that gets too powerful.
But milk.
Yeah. They bonded more over milk.
Yeah, you have not factored in the milk, Connor.
I know, that's stupid of me. So
Now,
foolish.
if Joe wins the chocolate milk challenge and David has to take him out, I could understand that. I could see that happening.
Yeah.
He's got to take him out for the chocolate milk challenge.
Yes.
It's just
Absolutely.
like, Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. Let's go.
There you go.
That should be the theme for 51. They should make everything candy.
Yeah,
And
but then
milk.
you have to bring in the Oompa Loompas, and that's just a lot of work.
Yeah, but don't they have the dream team?
Yeah.
Would they be bringing back Dad?
They're the worst show.
So is it all candy rewards? Is that what
Everything
all
is
they get?
candy rewards. It's just
Candy
all
rewards.
sugar. And they're all like Augustus Gloop, like drinking from the chocolate river. Like, it'd be horrible, but I would watch it so hard.
This is
Every
incredible.
episode has a reward challenge with just sugar in the sugar shack, giving
It's
everyone.
just, the Sugar Shack. They're bringing back the Sugar Shack.
Yeah.
So instead of the mud, are they running through candy then?
Yes. It's
Okay.
chocolate. That's the chocolate river.
No, I don't need the mud. They can go through the candy.
Oh, no.
the-
Can we talk about the mud? Bringing it back to Survivor? I fucking hate the mud.
But did you see Mary going through it? It was unbelievable.
Oh my God.
Mary was unreal.
You can't see who they are.
No.
Like you do it in the first episode, so you don't know who these people are yet, and then they're covered in mud and you don't know what's going on in the challenge. Okay. Now we get to the point where now they're going to be in brand new tribes. You don't know who's on which team when you're watching. You have to take like notes and pause the show so you know who's on the purple team and who's on the yellow team or whatever it is, because you can't tell what colors they are and you can't tell who is who unless Jeff is screaming, "Look at Cedric!" Like, oh, that's who that is.
My thoughts exactly.
I can't tell who you are.
I agree with the first episode. And I also make my point here. Say's advantage was huge because they have mud all over them when they are doing this individual immunity challenge, and you don't know what's in your eye. It's stuck to your body. That's such a huge distraction. And yet Say didn't win still with that big, enormous advantage. And that challenge was brutal. Them getting up that rope, the amount of energy that you have to use for that to then stand with the pole and look straight up. I mean, David was doing it where he wasn't looking straight up, which I don't know how, because you really can't know what's happening with your ball unless you're looking at it.
That's what I always say. Ba-da-ba-ba-da-ba.
Okay. On that note, a couple more things I want to mention with Eva and Joe.
Coming on this one.
We're doing fantastic right now. It's a stunner, let me tell you. But regarding Eva and Joe, beautiful moment. It had everyone in tears. You felt the emotion. You just saw how genuine it was. And just, too, the amount of respect from everybody else that was also a part of that moment. And just, you could see them. They were standing off to the side with their arms around each other. So they were all there for the support. And I'm glad that the show was able to show that. It really was truly incredible. And regardless of how those two do the rest of the game, I don't think it matters. You hear Joe saying, I was going to be there no matter what, no matter if it tanks my game. And that was what we got from episode 1. We didn't know that this moment was going to happen the way that it did. And the fact that he came through and delivered with what he said to us was just incredible. And he's such a good man. And you can just tell how close they are and that they're going to be bonded for life. So that's my big takeaway on Eva and Joe. No matter how they do the rest of this season doesn't fully matter to me. I think they're both powerhouses. They're both challenge beasts. And I still think they could do quite well. I just don't see a path for them to win because I just don't think anyone's going to let them get all the way to the end of this game. And if they do, they're going to probably lose.
Yeah. No. Astute, as always, Lauren. Joe and Eva are definitely threats going into the end game or even into the mid game at this point. I mean, Joe hasn't even been talked about yet, but Eva already has a target floating around her back. But either one of them get it to the end, and most deservedly, they should win. I think that it was a legendary moment for the show. And I think regardless of however they do, just like you said, I think that either one of them can come back on any season going forward just for that moment, even if it's, 10 years from now.
Yeah. My favorite part of that whole scene is the bit that everyone's had a gripe with. When Jeff told Joe that he could go over and give Eva a hug, that was my favorite part of the scene because I've been seeing loads of people saying that felt manufactured and like he was trying to create a moment. That's the one.
Shout out to Kobe.
Then, yeah. That's the one
of the podcast.
It really felt to me like Jeff was telling him that this was okay in this moment. This was allowed. He didn't have to stay there and do the bit for television. This was more important than that. And if this is what needed to happen, then that's what could happen. And that's what really got me misty-eyed watching it.
Oh, I cried. Like, definitely. Not ashamed at all. It's like, is there, whenever you're recording a television show, I mean, let's just zip this in the butt. Whenever you're recording any television show, the constant motivation by the producers is to maximize entertainment and enjoyment and emotional feedback from your audience. So they knew what they were doing, probably even when they cast Joe and Eva on the same tribe in the beginning. They knew that this was the interaction that they were going to get, and they engineered it so that these people would meet on the island and have this interaction. How it played out, and Joe being on the opposite tribe, and the tension that was felt while the episode was being had by Eva, and Joe intensely looking helpless to her needs that he knew that she had and he couldn't express. Like, that was all just happenstance. That was lucky on production's part that they got that. But production knew that they wanted that moment of the embrace. They did. The circumstances that happened up to it were randomized, but they got what they wanted. And whether Jeff had the instinct to do it or somebody whispered in his ear, I'm pretty sure Jeff has the instinct to know what's entertaining. Like, they did it. And they got an amazing television moment out of on it. And regardless of whether or not it was engineered or not by production, it was a genuine human moment that we got to watch. And that can't be understated.
Yeah. I mean, even from the first moments of the season, when we see them all talk, all of their acceptance moments into Survivor, you know what I mean? The scene at the start of the season.
Mm-hmm.
Even from there, when we watch Joe and he's breaking down and talking about how much he needed this and his kids are going to be so proud of him, and then watching that moment develop into this was so special. And just something I don't think this program will replicate.
I think a lot of shows will have a problem replicating that. I don't think it's replicable.
No.
Melissa, do you have thoughts?
She just laughs at it.
No, listen,
It was hilarious.
I was doing the round table, all right? I'm doing my job.
It was a funny moment for everyone.
It was a moment. It was a real moment. It was, it was a real life moment. So this is where I'm going to come out with me. And it was a great moment. It really was, but it had no place in Survivor. It did not have, for the game wise and everything like that. And I'm really afraid for Joe and Ava just because of that moment. Because people, even though in that moment, everybody loved it, everybody was very supportive, it was a real moment, everybody actually really felt it, it's still going to be remembered. And for me, while it was happening, I was not crying. I was yelling at Joe. I was like, what are you doing, man? I was like, don't do this. Don't do this to yourself. Absolutely loved it. I thought it was great. It was a very sweet moment, all that other stuff. But as a Survivor person that sits there and watches it, and I'm sitting there like, this is my guy. This is who I want to win. All I could sit there and think of in that moment is, as much as sweet and everything as this is right now, people are going to remember it, and this is going to make you not be able to win. So try not to feel like a mean person, but
but that's how you're coming off.
I think this was really good for them in the short term. I think for the next couple of votes, it's actually kind of protected them a bit. I think people will be looking at Joe and Eva and going, we cannot vote those two out after that. Mm-hmm. We don't want to be seen as the villains on television, and we don't want to be the people that took Joe and Eva out. But there's going to be a point, like you said, where that is going to definitely come back and bite them.
Yeah, $1 million talks a lot.
Yeah. And if that's what you're coming on the show for, I mean, I absolutely love Lauren. I think she is one of the greatest people on the earth. If I was on Survivor with her, I would protect her all the way up until I didn't want to protect her anymore. And I'd be like, you got to go talk me up on the jury, girl. Sorry. It's time for you to go. It's because you just can't show that closeness at some point, because these people are, if you're really out there to play this game, you're out there to win $1 million. You're all going to become friends afterwards. We all know that. We all know that these Survivor people become such a close group, and they all become really good friends. There's very few outliers in that group. So when you're on the show, that's not the time to be like, you're my best buddy and I'm going to protect you and care about you. It's like, no, it's called Survivor. There's only one winner. So.
Yeah, and you're right with everything you're correct with everything that you were saying. However, there is, I'll give you a counterpoint on that, is that in game theory, there's something called UTILs, UTILs, which are things that are more valuable than winning the game to each individual person. And what that imaginary variable is different for every person. Mm-hmm. For Joe, that happens to be his honor, his integrity, and how he's seen on TV as a hero. That is more important to him than winning the $1 million. And a really good player understands what every other player's utils are and will utilize those in order to get further into the game. So while I understand and I agree with your point, I also think that there is a little bit more depth to it than what we're bringing to the table right now.
No, I agree with that. But I just, and it's exactly what you said. He is being true to himself. He's being what he wanted to be. He's being what he wants to present. But unfortunately, you're playing with other people, and they're like, well, how can I now weaponize that what you want to be in order to make sure that my game gets further?
Well, let's take this even a step further and say, now that you know that is Joe's ultimate goal, his ultimate goal is to be perceived as a hero, not to win the game. Does that mean that you can predict his moves better and you can keep him around longer because of that?
Yep.
Like, now that's a chess piece that you can know how it's going to move.
Yep.
So let's get rid of the more sneaky players instead.
And then, not to mention, like you said, when they do fight, because I think they'll vote out Ava before they vote out him.
Yeah.
Because of the fact that now they know that they'll weaken him, and he's going to go a little bit rogue, so he's not going to play. They're going to be like, well, we're going to now have to see how his integrity falls out once we vote her out. And it's going to become very much a story for that, because it'll be how is he going to act after that. So it's totally going to be utilized to, so unfortunately, like I said, it was a great moment. I'm just not the emotional person where I'm like, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
No, we're supposed to disagree. It's a podcast.
That is so true. It is a podcast. and even I want to put out there, we're talking about predictability here. If you are able to read someone's next move and what they're thinking, that is the perfect person to have in your alliance and keep around, because this is probably what they're going to do, and they're not going to do anything shady behind my back. And there are players that do play like that. They don't think they're playing like that, but they absolutely are, just because I don't think they truly know what's going on in the game. Not everyone is going to be that power player that is able to dominate. You're going to have the people there that are just numbers, and I hate saying just numbers, but that's truly what it is. Sometimes they're people that you can count on to have in your alliance. They're going to be a vote in your pocket, and it's going to only help you do better yourself. So I think this season there's predictable players, and then there's other players that are unpredictable. And so I'm excited to see how that's going to continue to mesh, because I see people very much so on one side or the other, and only a couple people in the middle, whereas other seasons you could see people going and shifting either direction.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. Who else have we not talked about?
I'd like to talk about Thomas.
Have at it. Yes.
Jump on it.
I think Thomas was an incredible character. I was so upset he left so early. I was watching him, and almost like Littlefinger-esque for the Game of Thrones fans out there. Yeah. I just thought he was a fascinating character. I like people who go on there and are just a little bit schemy. And that one scene where he was talking to, was it Shaheen that he was saying about Star's idol?
And how would we just
talking about
lose it?
Disappear. Mm-hmm. I thought that was an incredible scene. I wish that happened. I would have loved it. I would have thought it was hilarious as much as I love Star. I thought that his relationship with the California girls was definitely going to last a lot longer than it did. I thought that was being set up as like a major alliance in the future. Obviously, I was incorrect. But I also
think we all were.
I personally think that was his own downfall. I mean, if he would have actually thought it out, and he was such a smart guy. When Shaheem and Joe came up to him and sat there and said, they're saying the different story than what happened on your thing. At that point, he should have came clean. He should have just been like, hey, you know what? I'm sorry I didn't tell you guys before, but we wouldn't have this alliance. Now what it is, he should have sat there and came clean at that point. He should have sat there and said, let's go ahead and use my still a vote. We're going to steal one of their votes. We're going to put 2 votes on them just in case they are working together. They only have 2 votes. And it would have been great if they would have stole Kyle's, because then he would have had 3 votes, because if he would have stayed still the vote, and they would have had the extra vote that Kyle was using. So it would have been great. And but then it would have been a split vote. They could have gone to, the revote, and it would have been 2 on whoever they wanted out. He should have thought of that. That was a total downfall of his, just owning up to what was already done.
He completely played himself out of the game.
Yeah.
He underestimated his competition. He thought that he was on a higher level than everyone else, because he was seeing the game the same way Camilla was, and Kyle for that matter. He just didn't attribute that to them. So he just straight up underestimated what the other people in the game were capable of.
I mean,
go on.
For the still a vote, that was the perfect scenario.
Mm-hmm.
That was absolutely the perfect scenario for a still a vote. That would have been, I mean, because it could have been 2-2-2. It could have been a two-way split for everybody. Anybody used an idol, that's what it is, no problem. I mean, you can't get any perfect of a scenario for a still a vote than that what it was.
Yep. What are you saving it for?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, exactly. Because it doesn't impact when you get to the merge. It could. But when you have that many people, that one extra vote a lot of the times doesn't as matter. But when you're on the smaller tribe, it absolutely does matter.
Yeah, you're controlling 20% of the vote with that. And like the higher the percentage of the vote that you're controlling, the more powerful it is.
Yep.
At 13, one vote is what? 6% of the overall vote?
Yep.
I mean, it's a 2-vote swing since it's a steal vote. So you're controlling 40% of the vote in a 5-person tribe. Like that's massive.
Yep.
Yeah. I completely agree with everything that you're all saying. I think from Thomas's point of view, there was this thing that happens like a lot with advantages where he was probably thinking to himself, if I save this, I can have my big grand gesture in front of the jury. I think he was thinking 10 steps ahead, and he was thinking, how am I going to use this to be a massive shocking TV moment? And didn't want to waste it in the pre-merge. And obviously he should have in hindsight. But I think there's often this thing with these big advantages where you're just thinking about how is this going to make the audience perceive me and give me my grand moment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it's and the thing that's frustrating about it is that, and even Kyle said it earlier, we've seen 46.
Yeah.
So we've seen how many people go home with idols and advantages and all that stuff in their pocket, and yet Thomas still made the same error.
Yeah.
It's like you were great, you could have been great, but you fell short because you got cocky.
Thomas did get cocky a little bit. And I think this is another issue I have with the whole new era concept of it all. Why have we not had a returnee season of new era people? Because Thomas is the perfect person to bring back for a return because Thomas is able to see the mistake that occurred. And I think Thomas would be able to change the game by coming back, even though the elimination was so early. But those are the people, the Kelly Wentworths. They watch their game. They see what they potentially did wrong. They come out and have a huge bang the next go around. And Thomas is someone I could see being that type of player. But unfortunately, I don't think we're going to see Thomas again. And it sucks because I think there was a ton of potential there. And especially on a returnee second chance, I think great player, maybe in the making.
Yeah. I think it's possible to get a second chance. I don't think that it's anytime soon, like right now, but again, I'm not a big fan of 41 through 47. So I haven't seen any characters that have been oh, amazing, they should come back.
Mm-hmm. I think I disagree with that. I think that there's definitely some people that have some potential to come back, but it doesn't seem like we're really going to be getting much of them in 50 at all.
No.
And this is the inherent problem. Like 45 should have been a returnee season. 49 should have been a returnee season. They just haven't had a time for these people to build their legacy. Mm-hmm. And if you're not giving them that, what's the future of the show look like? Come on, production. I adore you, but we can make some better decisions right now.
Season 50 is going to be Boston Rob, Parvati, and Thomas. And I can't. I think that the strongest part of the new era has been the casting. They've made loads of mistakes with idols and advantages and the shorter seasons, but I think the casting has remained solid from 41 until now. And surely we're getting like a new era returnee season around 52-ish. You've got to think.
Yeah, I could see that. I could see like in early 50s coming a returnee season.
Like a Game Changers almost after.
Unless Jeff decides to come out with 51, drop the 5, keep the 1.
Yeah.
I actually would not be surprised if this whole era from like 41 to like 46, we see like 5 people come back. Like there's been a lot of criticism about it. and we see what happens when there's a lot of criticism about a season, and they kind of brush them under the rug. Like, I definitely don't think we'll ever see anybody from 41 ever again.
No.
Even though there were great characters on 41, like there's opportunity maybe for some of the quote unquote legends from that are 42, 43, 44. But I think that we're more apt to see people like Jonathan come back because that appeals to and I hate to get political on here, but with the political environment change that we're seeing in the country right now, that's the people that those people root for. And I think that we're going to see a little bit more of a shift in the casting towards that area. Like the pendulum's going to start swinging more to the center on it.
Yeah,
might be controversial, but yeah.
I don't need anyone from 41. I'm good. If I'm being honest with you, I'm sitting good. I am A-okay. I don't need it. And it's the same thing too. What sucks for them taking so long to do a returning season, we haven't had a full one since Game Changers, and that is why we're seeing with the potential rumors for 50, you have to bring back those people from David versus Goliath. That was such a good season, and they need to be represented. I'm sorry. It just has to go down that way. But that is the issue that we're seeing by it being so long. For those people been waiting for their second chance or their second opportunity, and we could have already seen it already by having some type of returning season slotted in the 40s. It just needed to be that way because now when you're casting for 50, the pool is entirely too large with what you're looking at. If you had brought some of those people back, we don't need them again for a third time. I know we are getting people for 50, third, fourth, whatever you will, but it's eliminating some of those people where we could see them having their shining moment and getting that one more opportunity to put a stamp on it.
Yeah, I'm not even worried about 50. I'm worried about 51 through 60. Yeah. Like, if you don't give these people in the new area time to build their legacy, what does the next 10 seasons look like? Because now who are you going to pull from? You can't keep pulling Boston Rob back.
You just bring Bruce back again.
Yeah. Like these people need to build the next generation. Like I think I said this on the last podcast that we did. You need to build the next generation of legends in this new era, and you have not built the base for that.
You need the new Mount Rushmore. That's what you need.
You need
the new Mount Rushmore of Survivor, the 2.0, because you already have the 1.0. Give us the 2.0, and that's what's going to come from having returnee seasons. If we go into the 50s and we don't see another returnee season until 55, I think you're dropping the ball there.
Yeah. I mean, and that's why these other people are starting to turn to other shows, because there's and Jeff's getting territorial about people getting poached from Survivor casting to go to other shows. It's like, well, you're not giving these people an opportunity to make them names for themselves on your platform. They're going to start seeking, other ways to build their legacy and to, provide for their families if they're seeking to make money that way. So you got to give these people an opportunity if you want to build the legacies within the show of Survivor.
Yeah.
Melissa, Connor, any other thoughts on that?
No, I completely agree.
I think that's 100% sure that, in order for them to actually for us to actually get somebody that's like the new people, we need to actually start seeing them more than what they played in their original season, because it always gives a different dynamic when you play with different people. Like me personally, I like Jake. I know he was a third runner-up and a lot of people didn't like him, but I really liked him. And I think that with a whole different group of people, I think his game would be amazing. Yeah. So it's just a matter of being able to see who they're playing with and seeing them with a different dynamic of people, especially since they kind of already know each other. So
yeah, people like Jake, people like Caleb. There's a list of at least 20 people that you could bring back and that we would want to see again, but they're just not giving them the opportunity right now. And I hope that that philosophy changes in the next 5 years.
Yeah. I think they should have done this in the hands of the fans thing a year earlier and asked what we wanted from casting and gone from there.
Yeah, but then all the casuals would just say Boston Rob, Sandra Diaz, Fine, Parvati, and we would just get winners at war mixed with heroes versus villains.
Yeah.
V2.
No,
Like-
I think they should have put a cap on if they've played X amount of seasons, regardless of how legendary they are, they can't come back for 50 because they've had their legendary moments. 40 is a legend moment because you were a winner. You won. I don't need to see winners.
Mhm.
It's that's what it comes down to. And I don't think there are going to be winners on 50, but regardless, they still fall into the category. This is my third, fourth time playing.
Yeah, and it's like, how much new are we going to see from somebody who's played 3 or 4 times? I'd rather get some surprises. You know, if we see Boston Rob, we know how Boston Rob plays. We've seen it
On everything he's done.
every show.
Yeah, everything, single thing he's done.
Mm-hmm. Let a
And
new
people
Boston
let it
Rob come
happen.
out. Mm-hmm.
They let him play the game that way, and it's mind-boggling to me. But for some wild reason, it works for him, and I don't know how.
Well, it works sometimes for him.
But
It's
just
charisma.
even, yeah.
Like think about it. How many times has Boston Rob sat on a jury?
Once, wasn't it?
Once, right?
Right? Yes.
Yeah.
Once.
So he's either pre-merge or he's at the finals, and more
Yeah.
so pre-merge.
Yeah. But we need.
I am not a Boston Rob fan.
Me either.
We
I
need
liked him on Dondi, but then when he got out Tony and Traders, that ended it for me again.
Mhm.
But after Marquesas, Boston Rob wasn't Boston Rob.
No,
And
no, he didn't even have that name
why-
yet.
No, and that's why we need these seasons, because legends aren't just born. We have to watch them develop and learn from their past mistakes and become these. Incredible.
Oh.
I thought you were going to say legends aren't born; they are forged in fire.
I was looking
that was the phrase.
Okay,
I was
I'm
looking
going
for something, I
to
couldn't think of anything to
you on that one because there is one legend that was born on his first season, and that's Tony. But-
Yeah.
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 Tony's legacy was cemented on his first season, and
Yeah.
like
Mhm.
there's
Just in general.
definitely like some people who make a name for, like Carolyn made a huge name for herself on her first season.
Yeah.
You know? And there's a lot of people who do that, but then if they don't have the opportunity to come back and then cement it, like unless you're Tony, who just like completely bombed on Game Changers, but
Oh yeah.
like yeah, like
That was good that
never
he
happens.
bombed.
Like we
Game
never
Changers.
would have Kelly
Really good.
Wentworth.
No.
That's what I said. I agree about the Kelly Wentworth, but Tony needed to bomb on Game Changers because it helped him go into season 40, in my
Yeah.
personal opinion.
Yeah.
He
So
wouldn't
great
have.
move on Tony. I think Tony was prepping years in advance for that. But going back to the Boston Rob statement of it all, you saw the potential in Marquesas and then
Yeah.
bringing him back and going, oh boy, we have a gamer here, which is what I'm talking about. We have so many potentials from the new era, but we have not seen them play again. And we're just going this season alone. Thomas is one of those. Thomas goes pre-merge. But
That's right. This is about season 48.
everyone knows with this type of podcast, we're going to spitball some 50 rumors. We have to talk about that. And we're just giving everyone their flowers at this point. I mean, I didn't think we were going to talk about Boston Rob, but here we are.
And Peter Harkey.
Yes.
Well, if we're gonna start throwing out random names, I'm gonna say John Paylock, and JP has to be back on too.
Oh,
Oh.
we'll talk about that off camera. Oh, okay.
All right, we'll dive back into 48 for a little bit. But if we
Yeah.
can circle back around to 50, which we will, it's going to happen. Shaheem. Let's talk about Shaheem here because we have
haven't
not
mentioned him.
touched on him yet.
The guy who is apparently sneaky.
Yeah.
He got called out.
Yeah, I don't see that. I don't see
Wasn't
it.
he an alternate for 46? Was it?
Yeah.
Yes,
Yes.
I was just gonna say that. So once again, because I watched all the preseasons, and I watched all the preseasons for 46. On 46, he was actually the one that most people talked about, saying they wanted to align with him. Like when they interviewed him, they were like, the guy with the beard, he's the one that seems the most trustworthy. He seems this. And then when they interviewed again for 48, everybody was saying it. So there's something about him without ever speaking to him that people are just like drawn to. He must have the same charisma that Rob has. He must have that like just absolutely open up, let's talk. So I don't see him as sneaky. I don't know where all these people are sitting there saying he's sneaky on this season. I'm like, what is he? He's like right out in the open. You know what he's doing. I don't get it.
I mean, have you seen his beard?
Yes.
Then you have your answer. How would
Oh,
you not trust a man with that majestic mane?
Is it like
It's
Ferris?
perfect.
Hell of a beard.
It was like going back to Ferris from Australian Survivor. That's the same kind of like makes sense.
It's so manicured, and it's just beautiful. Like
We have
it
a
looks
beard
like he uses beard oil on the island. Like
coconut oil. Just coconut oil.
it has to be. He has to have a routine every morning. Like as a man who has had a beard in the past, I respect that, and I would trust you with my life if you're listening. That beard is incredible. You
So
can
we're
save me
trusting
from every
people?
fire.
On beards now?
You can give me CPR anytime. I
Alrighty.
trust you with
All
my
right.
life.
So chocolate milk is the highlight, and milk in general, and beards. This is where we are going with Survivor 48. Noted.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about the gameplay of Shaheem, or is it just the beard?
It's the beard. That's his gameplay.
I'm trying to figure out his gameplay. Like, what has he done that made it gameplay?
Yeah.
He oils it daily. That's incredible. You're downplaying this. You don't understand.
They're all just fascinated with how amazing his beard looks, and they're like,
Exactly.
how he's doing this. So that's how he gets his sneaky term, is because he's going off and sneaking and fixing his beard, and nobody knows where this like secret like spa is at that he's doing his beard.
So you do get it. So you do understand. Why are we questioning this?
He has a manscaping shack. So like how Tony
He
had
has to.
a spy shack, he had the manscaping shack, and he has it built out there where he does coconut oil and sand, and it's like a chemical that he does. Okay, I get it.
Yeah. It's berries and juices and oils.
Connor, how do you feel about the
Like, let's get some substance here. Connor, bring us back with your amazing accent.
I'm not going to help much. I'm also really struggling with trying to work out Shaheen's like long-term strategy. I assume he's planning on sticking with this alpha male alliance, but I feel like strategy-wise, we haven't heard loads from Shaheen just because he hasn't been in that position loads yet. He hasn't had to go to tribal much, and when he did the first time, it was against him. But that's making me feel relatively good about him. I feel like we haven't had any negative content against him when we could have.
Mm-hmm.
Can I say something about his tribal?
Oh, okay. Yeah.
On his tribal, the one thing that did confuse me on the next episode is that he was like, Thomas got voted out. He was my number one. When the heck were him and Thomas number one?
Yeah, I thought Thomas and Bianca were.
It was Thomas and Bianca for sure.
And a couple of episodes before, he was saying how Thomas was sneaky and he needed to go at some point. So I didn't get that either.
So that confused it. I was like, did I miss something on this whole entire thing? Because I don't know when Thomas and him became such best buddies.
Yeah.
I think Shaheen missed it. That's the issue. That's wrong there.
He was off oiling his beard.
He was oiling the beard, yeah.
Yeah. But I'm not worried about Shaheen in any way. I feel like he's in a comfortable position. And I don't think he's playing. I don't think he can play any better than he currently is. I think he's comfortable. He's not showing off too much. He's flying under the radar, but he's far from the bottom.
Well, apparently they're going to try to frame him next week.
I can't see the next time on my episode, so I never know next week.
Well, let me tell you.
Go for it.
I can't remember who said it in the preview, but apparently was it Camilla? And they were like, we're gonna frame Shaheen for this. They didn't say exactly what it was, but they're probably talking about the vote for Say.
Yeah.
So they're gonna try to sick Say onto Shaheen, I think.
That would just be for amusement. That seems like a Mary plan, where Mary's like, I just want to be amused today, so I'm gonna go tell her that it was Shaheen that did it all, so I could get amused for the day.
Yeah, she needs something to watch.
Yeah, it's going to be chaos. It's going to be chaos. When you set Say off, perfect. That's all you need, because then you can hide in the background because it has nothing to do with you. Because Say's not arguing with you. Say's arguing with somebody else. So you're clear. You're in the clear.
Yeah, no, and Say's gonna go nuclear. Like she's gonna be in her hammock and then hear about that. And yeah, no, she's not gonna be in the hammock much.
No.
Remember, Adrian, though, Say wanted to lay low on the last vote, and Say did lay low because the Cedric vote.
Do you think that she can lay low after getting 5 votes at the last tribal?
No, not at all. This is why we saw the one bit of calmness, and then it's just going to be tick.
That was the eye of the storm, Lauren.
Yeah, absolutely. I just want to know how quickly the conversation is going to be had, or Say is going to do last time. I don't want to talk to any of you. None of you. I'm done with you, Cedric. Don't want to talk to you two until the morning. And then finally came around. I don't know if Say's coming around this time. I think it's going to be pointing fingers right off the bat.
Yeah. Do you want to know how fast it's going to be? It's going to start happening at 7:55 on Wednesday. It's going to happen 5 minutes before the episode even starts. All right. They're going to cut Entertainment Tonight short, and they're going to just go right to Say. And then she's going to be flipping everybody off and probably throwing things around camp and just causing chaos.
Yeah.
I'm glad she's there. I'm glad she's there.
I'm glad she's there. I like Rome. I like Say. I can't stand her.
It's good casting. You have to have those people that you're saying, can I root for this person? I don't know, but they have to be on my screen because the entertainment value alone just makes it.
Yeah.
I mean,
I go as far as to say I want one more.
To me, I think they seen the potential of what Venus brought, and they were like, we need Venus, only hardcore. And that's where Say came in.
Yeah.
Yes.
So,
and they got what they bargained for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do we think there's a world where the Vula 3 come back together in the next couple of episodes?
No.
Or do we think they're completely done?
I mean, if they did, that'd be amazing, but I don't see it happening.
That's
I think
dream.
Mary.
So when you say the Vula 3, you're talking about Stephanie, Kevin, and Justin, right?
No, they're at Justin's.
They're all grabbing pizza right now.
Watching the show from the sidelines. They're at Justin's pizza place watching the show all together. All three of them. They have the chairs lined up.
Best friends.
That's where they're at. Best friends. Yeah.
That's the Vula 3.
No, I don't think so. I think Mary's too smart for that. Mary knows that is doomsdale for her, essentially, because I think Mary is smart enough to align with different people, knowing that they are looking for alliance members. And Mary's very calm, cool, and collected, which is someone you want in your alliance.
I think Mary could be Mitch's new number one.
Maybe. Wow. Yes, I could see that. I could see that.
And David loves Mary. David absolutely loves her. He's already said that he'd protect her and everything like that, that he feels very secure with her.
I think Mary's in a phenomenal position right now.
Yes, I do.
Once again, loved her confession when Say was like, I'm so happy to be back with Mary. I couldn't wait to give her a big hug and all this. And then also they popped to Mary and she's like, I felt the gut in my stomach where I just felt like I was going to vomit and I did not want her back. I was like, I love it.
It's so good. And I'll bring this up too, because I think it's funny. Say getting so excited and then apologizing. I'm so sorry, y'all, when knowing that she's going to be able to eat. It's just some of it it's gold. It's so good. You have no, if you make to the end, you just don't have any jury management with any of that.
Yeah, no, she's burning every bridge that she possibly can. Very Russell Hantz-esque.
I don't know.
I'm waiting.
I know you're waiting for the response, but I think the difference is Russell purposely was burning people's socks and doing all these little bits to make people uncomfortable. Say, I just think is being herself, and I guess thinks this is a way to win the game. I don't know. It's a strategy that I'm not aware of as a winning game. And if it does win, I'm not going to necessarily hate it. I'm going to be truthfully honest with you. We haven't seen a character like this really win the game before, and I was kind of okay with it. I just don't think.
No, because they're zero vote finalists, because nobody fucking likes them.
No, but
sorry to cut you off.
No, it's fine. I don't foresee it happening, but I wouldn't necessarily hate it, because could it be a situation where, I don't know, you grow on people as you continue to live with them? It could maybe happen. You don't know. And think about it from our perspective. At the beginning, we weren't sure what Star's storyline was going to be, but now we're loving Star. Maybe Say has a moment and we go, all right, I can deal with Say with this. I like it. I don't know. This is why I love the show, because we don't. It's so unpredictable what could happen.
I see that as a great thing that you're saying, but we're already halfway through the season and has not been a change in her character at all. Like on day 1, when they were at a challenge, she was yelling and screaming and like, oh my God. And then she turns and looks at whoever was standing next to her. I don't know who it was. And she's like, oh, I'm so sorry for yelling. It was like, okay. So her character has been very steady. I just think it's who she is. That's just, and she's very emotional and she lets it all out as soon as she can. It's her.
Yeah, I don't think there's a part of her that thinks that any of the stuff that she's doing currently is poor strategy. No. I think she thinks that everything is completely correct. I think all of her ideas she thinks are correct. The other day when she was talking about how their tribe were losing and the other tribes were being sore winners, there wasn't a thought about how they would react to her saying that. It was all that she's the hero in this story. So I can't see her trying to think about changing up her strategy. I'd love her to have like an Emily Flippin moment, and suddenly that's the sort of thing that I feel like we could be heading toward, but I don't know if it's in Say's nature.
But Emily had Caleb that directed her to see that. He sat there and guided her and showed her what she was doing and everything like that. Who did Say have? Say had Cedric, who she didn't trust because he voted her. She has Mary, who's not going to play with her. I mean, and there's nobody else that's going to guide Say at all. So I agree with you completely that Say is in her mind thinking that she's completely in control. Nothing she's doing is wrong. And there's nobody guiding her saying, hey, are you actually looking at yourself?
Yeah.
Very true. Listen, unapologetically herself, so it's great.
Yeah.
I can't complain. I can't complain about it. The one thing you can sit here and say is not fake. And you can say that all day long. And that is so key and so important, because the people that are fake are the ones that annoy me the most. And we have seen people on the show that are like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Completely.
Who else are we missing? Did we hit everyone?
Yeah, except for some of the pre-mergers, but yeah.
But mostly the people that are all left. Let's do this.
We haven't talked about Kyle that much, but
sure, we kind of had the dynamic of the Kyle Camilo.
Really talked about, yeah.
But yes, of course, Adrian. What do you have on Kyle that you want to say?
I just think that he's got a really good position right now. He's probably the closest network person that's out there right now.
Yeah.
He doesn't have anybody who's really targeting him. He has his major alliance, his minor alliance. He's actually in a prime position. I think he could go. I think he's got a lot of win equity right now.
I do too.
Yeah.
Do we have any predictions?
My favorite player of the season.
Kyle is favorite player so far. Yeah, I think that's good. Yeah. I'm really enjoying his storyline, and I think what him and Camilla did, making that move happen, you just saw their brains working, and they were really strategic about it. And I think Kyle has a good chance and might have control, because Kyle can probably go either direction potentially. Mm-hmm. What, as we brought up, if Camilla's name gets brought up, what is Kyle doing? Is Kyle letting Camilla go depending on how far it's progressed? Or is Kyle then saying, you know what, I'm going to go flip and work with the other group with Camilla? So I want that to play out. I think there's a good chance that it could.
Yeah. I love how they've shown Kyle's brain, the way that it works. Mm-hmm. I think the best part of it that they did with him was when they came back from that tribal and he made up the whole, I had to vote that way because I just didn't trust something because somebody went through my bag. It was obvious somebody went through my bag. He didn't let it on that Camilla told him. He didn't let anything. He made it seem like he discovered that somebody went through his bag because things were moved. I was like, that is such a genius move.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
To make other people believe that there was nothing ever discussed between him and Camilla.
100%. I agree. I'm sorry. I'm getting over a cold, so that's.
You're okay.
I had a coughing fit, but I thought the drugs would last.
I'm guessing Connor's computer probably died, so Connor will be back shortly.
I'm sure. Yes. After I died, Connor's computer died.
You have to have a grand entrance. You have to have exit and then the grand entrance, so it's totally fine.
Do you want me to have a better entrance?
Your entrance was great. You came in with the soda and you sat down. Perfect. That's how you wrap up a Friday night. Friday night, you come in with the soda. It was perfect.
Yes. So do we have any predictions? It's a good time to ask for that. Who's winning Survivor 48?
Oh, it is such in the air. Me personally, I would like Joe to win, but I don't see that happening. I think at this point, I think it's either going to be Kyle or Mary.
Okay. So I'm going to go a little bit of. This could be more of an outlier pick, but it's not impossible for it to happen. I'm going to say Star. And the reason I'm going to say that is because of the storyline progression that we have seen. It was a little bit more of a slow burn, and now we're really starting to get to the meat and potatoes. So I think there is a potential there, but I don't think it's as common of an option.
Hello.
Hi.
He's back.
Sorry about that. My laptop just decided to give up the ghost. So I'm on my phone.
You're good. No worries. We're talking predictions. So someone predicted, what was it, Mary or Joe taking it? That was Melissa.
Well, you got to pick one.
Okay,
No.
so if I have to pick one, I'm going to go Kyle.
Mary or Joe?
Mary
and then
Joe?
you got to pick
Kyle?
one. Okay, it's Kyle.
This is what the podcast
No, I
has
said
become.
I want Joe to win, and I said that I think that who's going to win is Kyle and Mary.
Okay,
Kyle
so we're going Kyle. Perfect.
And then I said, oh, if I have to pick one, it's going to be Kyle.
It's going to be
Okay.
Kyle. Okay, great. And then I said Star just because it's more of an outlier pick. However, based on the storyline, it's not out of the possibility of it happening. And I'm really enjoying Star at this point in time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I'm going to make that prediction. I against my better judgment, but I'm going to make the prediction. I think Joe's going to win this season.
I can get behind that.
Yeah, I think that he's very well insulated right now, and I think that they're going to let him go to a point. I think they're going to target, some of the other bigger threats, etc. And I feel like because of his honor and integrity, people are going to keep him around longer than they should, and I think he's going to immunity himself to the end.
And he looks just so happy on his Instagram now.
Even better. Connor, what do you think?
At this point, I think I'm going to go with David.
Okay.
Okay.
Wow. Okay.
Now, I don't completely want a David win. I love him as a character. I think he's great television. But I feel like lots of the stuff that we've been getting from him has been lots of personal content about why he deserves the money and what he's going to do with the money if he wins. And I feel like we've just got a very clear story for him to win at the end, which I haven't seen with everyone else yet.
Now, do you think he's going to win Survivor, or that he's going to get a huge sponsorship from Chocolate Milk and win that way?
Possibly.
I mean, that's a strategy.
Yes.
Love and milk.
Mm-hmm. That's
It
the
is
new
a strategy.
slogan.
I mean, the guy with the beef jerky. Look how much money he made making beef jerky movies or commercials.
Movies. He's just stole movies about beef jerky.
That's what I want to watch.
I do.
Bring
I
on
want
the
to see
beef jerky.
Kel Gleason.
That's a whole different kind of movie
Night of
that
the
I
beef
don't know.
jerky. Be amazing. She sticks
Oh,
his beef
so
jerky
good.
like trying to eat people.
Sausage
Terrible.
party? I mean, I don't know.
Oh, we love sausage party.
Well, on that note, does anyone have any other thoughts on the season thus far? We covered a whole lot here. We really dove deep into some key elements, and I really thought that it was good that we all had differing opinions, because it's nice when everyone isn't all happy-go-lucky. I agree with you. We definitely did not agree with each other.
No.
Yeah, no. The more fighting, the better.
Yes.
Even
But
if
we
it's
all
bad,
have to
yeah.
end up agreeing at the end that Shaheem has an amazing beard and he's maintaining it somehow.
Yeah, incredibly well. Incredibly well. It's. I need a minute after I watch a scene with him.
Apparently.
Mhm. Jesus.
No, nothing else on my end in terms of discussion for the season. I'm just sending all of my goodwill toward Carl and Camilla. They're the kings and queen of my heart currently.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Any final thoughts?
I think we did a slam dunk, folks. So with that, I'll just wrap us up here. Be sure to check out everything we have going on the Reality After Show. Johnny, Matt, Bobby, and Wayne have been covering Survivor 48 themselves. Check them out. Very funny content. It always is. Very differing opinions, which we love to see. Also, be sure to check out the Challenge podcast with Polly Fury, Alex Trias, Dan Machel. They have that going as well. And Australian Survivor, Braun versus Brain 2 is going on. Episode 20, I believe, is the last episode that just aired this week. Johnny's been doing the podcast with Eden Porter. However, if you're looking for some King George content, check out the previous 2 podcasts. We love a King George in the house. And with that, be sure to like and subscribe. Adrian, Connor, Melissa, thank you so much for joining me for this podcast. It has been an absolute pleasure and a blast.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I've had a great time.
Cheerio.
All right. With that,
Thank you.
take care, everyone.